Hello, this is Scholastic Sam. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today on the topic of Algebra 2, we will be discussing how to factor quadratic equations. This is just a graph of a quadratic equation. So we know that quadratic equations are equations with the highest power being second. As you see, there's a 2 right there, x squared. Now, we already went over a little bit standard form, factored form, and vertex form. This is used for graphing. This is used for the quadratic formula to find out the x-intercepts. And we know that to get to standard form from vertex form and factored form, you just multiply them out. You multiply this out and multiply this out to get this. But usually we're given standard form, and we have to find either factored form or vertex form. In our next video, we'll go over completing the square, which is how you get to vertex form. But in this video, we're going over factored form. Now, when we go to factored form, we're going to do that to find the x-intercept, where y equals 0, because for anything multiplied by 0 equals 0, and you can multiply factored form in a standard form using FOIL, which is first, outer, inner, last. But for example, we have y equals, it's supposed to say y equals there, y equals x plus 1, x minus 2. If x is -1, -1 plus 1 equals 0, this whole thing's going to be 0, meaning that's an x-intercept. And here, if x is 2, 2 minus 2 is 0, this whole thing's going to be multiplied by 0. Y will equal 0, it'll be an x-intercept. Therefore, the x-intercepts are at -1 and 2. Now, FOIL is first, outer, inner, last, meaning we multiply the first x by x is x squared, outer x by -2, which is -2x, inner 1 by x, which is x, and last, which is 1 by -2, which is just -2. And we add those, if we add those together, it would be x squared minus x minus 2. Now, this is called, I don't know, yeah, I think you guys can see that. This is called the x chart. With the coefficient here as 1, which it is, we just don't write it. Then you can do something called an x chart, which is where helps you in factoring. Now, we have x squared minus 7x plus 12. So we make an x. We write this number here at top and this number here at the bottom. Your teacher may have you do it the other way around, but this is how I always do it. Now, the basis of factoring is that we get two numbers that add up to equal this here and multiply together to equal that. So we want two numbers that multiply to equal at the top and add to be at the bottom. So I think 3 and 4 multiply to be 12. They also add up to be 7. So if they're both negative, -3 plus -4 is -7. If you guys have no idea what factoring is and you're in Algebra 2, you should probably review some Algebra 1 or pre-algebra. Now, an easy factoring problem. I don't know if you guys see that there. I think you guys can. Yeah. So we have, let me just make my brightness is all the way up. So here we just have, current slide, we have x squared plus 10x plus 25. So I know that I have to find something that adds up to equal positive 10 and multiplies together to be 25. So I'll immediately think 5 and 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. 5 times 5 is 25. So I do x plus 5 times x plus 5, which is, of course, x plus 5 squared. Because x times x is x squared, x times 5 is plus 5x, 5 times x is plus 5x, which is going to be plus 10x, and 5 times 5 is 25. Because if we find those two numbers that add up to equal this number right here, the b value, and multiply to get this number here, the c value, then we can get two numbers that we can use to find the x-intercept. Now let's do a harder problem. This is one with, if we have something like, let's just say 2x squared. Yeah, you guys can still see that. It's 2x squared minus 4x minus 6. Now, a coefficient other than 1 multiplies one of the numbers in the middle term by 2. For example, we know that two numbers have to add up to equal this middle term. One of them is going to be multiplied by 2 when you do the adding part. Now, changing the coefficient does not change this value over here, the constant, only this one. So the number still has to multiply to equal -6, but one of the numbers has to be added to 2 times the other number. So one of the numbers, when you're thinking of they have to add together, and one of them is going to be multiplied by 2. So we start off, we know that one of the things has to be 2x, and x. So we think what multiplies to be -6. Now we see it's a -6 right here, and because positive times positive is positive, negative times negative is negative, but a positive times a negative is a negative, we know that one of the numbers has to be negative and one has to be positive. So I think, well, 6 and 1 multiply to be 6. That's my first thought. But 6 and 1 doesn't get 4. So, oh wait, we have to multiply one of them by 2. If we multiply the 1 by 2, we get 6 and 2, and 6 minus 2 is 4. So is there any way I could use that? I could use 6 and 1. Well, if I have -6 and 1, that multiplies to be -6. If I have -6 and 1, 1 times 2 is 2, so -6 plus 2 is going to be -4. So I know I want to multiply the 1 by the 2x, so I have to put on the other term. Each of these parentheses parts are called terms. So I have to put in the other term, because if I put it here, it wouldn't get multiplied by the 2x, it would get multiplied by the x. So I know I want to multiply by +1, and 1 times -6, so I want to do -6. Now, just to check my work, we can do 2x squared, because 2x times x is 2x squared. 1 times 2x is plus 2x. -6 times x is -6x. And -6 times 1 is just -6. If we combine those terms, we get 2x squared minus 4x minus 6. So yeah, well, that's it for today's video on factoring. Thank you to my math teacher, Mr. Barrett. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, and watch all my other videos, and turn that post notification bell on. Bye, guys, and always remember, knowledge is power.